So in this lesson, we're going to be setting up the Discord because Midjourney is only usable on Discord and Discord servers. We're going to set up Discord, so if you've never made an account, I'm going to run you through it right now. After that, we're then going to take a look at Midjourney itself, the server, all of the commands, how you can ultimately add it to your own server, and everything with the basics. So the first thing that you're going to do is just go to midjourney.com, and it should take you to a website like this. And you don't really need to read all of this. If you really just want to get started with Midjourney, just click right here, the sign in button, and it should take you to Discord right here. And for me, I'm going to assume that you've never made a Discord account. You don't have a Discord account. I'm going to make my Discord account right here. Okay, so fill out all of this information, create your account. As you can see, I filled out my information. And if not, you already have your account, then you should say already have an account and sign in here, but I'm going to click continue. So once you create your account, you'll be given a page like this. This is an external application Midjourney bot. You can read through it, make sure that this right here is the account that you want to be signed into. And as long as you know that this is the correct website, midjourney.com, you can trust what all of this jargon is saying, but you just need to go and say authorize. Okay, so it should take you to a page like this. And then now that you have all of this ready, you can go to Discord. So you can click this right here and accept invite. Okay, so as you can see, this is the Discord interface, and you have now been brought to the Midjourney server right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click into it, and you'll see that there is a lot of stuff going on. To be honest, you don't really need to go through with a lot of these. Really, the main section that you'll need as a Midjourney user will simply be the newcomer rooms. But going through each and every single one of the sections so that you can get a little bit more information. So this right here, this is a live office hours. If you want to go in, check in, if you want to ask questions, stuff like that. We're going to get rid of that for now. This is your home. This is where most of the things in terms of highlights and things of that nature will attend. If you have any events going on, you can click right there. Channels and roles. Here are, couple options that you would like to say for pronouns, specific opt-ins for certain things. These are ultimately not that important if you want to just get into Midjourney and use it. This is announcements, status. This is the rulebook for Discord and Midjourney. This is getting started. This is if you want to learn how to use Midjourney, but this is the video anyways. Community updates similar to announcements. Trial support. If you have ultimately got a Midjourney premium, you can go here. But really just going through most of these, it's like you have a VC chat, learning, daily theme, showcase. This is like the community showcase, discussion, prompt chat. This is if you need help with prompts, but we're not going to go through all of them. We're not even going to go through any of them. We're just going to go to the newcomer room. And this is where you'll be able to find Midjourney itself. So this is the newbies room. You will be assigned to a given newbies room, and this is where you can give the prompts. Now, we're not actually going to be in the server because it's hectic, it takes too long, and being able to scroll to find your specific prompts isn't ideal in a server like this. So we're just going to check this out. This is ultimately what Midjourney itself looks like. Newbies 47, newbies 17, and this is how it works. And we're just going to create our own server so that we can invite Midjourney the bot so that we can use it on our own server. So the first thing that you're going to do is go right here. It says add a server. We're going to do create my own for me and my friends. And then you can call this whatever. I'll just call this 2prompt server and create. Okay, so you now have your own server, and what you now want to do is, you don't really need these things, to be honest. Delete category, this is just for vanity, but what you're now going to do is if you want to add Midjourney to your own server, then you'll go here to Midjourney, you'll go back to the show member list and the Midjourney bot, and what you're going to do is click add to server. And you can read all of this, but as long as you click whatever server you want to add them to right here and continue, you can just leave all of this as is. It is a bot, it's trusted, authorize, and continue through with this verification. And we can go back to our server right here, Midjourney bot right here, and through your members list. And that is now when you can start giving some of the prompts. For me personally, I like to add the Midjourney bot to my own server just for the convenience, just so that I'm not always scrolling up and down to wait for my prompt. That's personally just me. I'm going to do this throughout the course as well. But one thing I should say is that the Midjourney server is jam-packed filled with information to help you if you want to be able to learn more about Midjourney, learn more, ask questions, and even the Midjourney documentation is extremely helpful. So with all that being said, we're actually going to hop into using Midjourney, all of the commands and tools within the next lesson. So I'll see you there. In this lesson, we are going to go over the Midjourney commands. Pretty much every single command that you'll need to personally use and all of the settings to help you be successful using Midjourney. So it doesn't matter if you have Midjourney in your own server or if you're messaging them or if it's in the server itself, it's pretty much all the same. So the first thing you're going to do is in this text box, you're going to do /, and then as you can see here, this is Midjourney bot right here, and you have all of the given commands that you can now be able to use. So all of these different commands that you are now have access to because you're using Midjourney. So we pretty much I would say 95% of the time are really only going to be using one of these prompts, one of these commands, and this is going to be /imagine. So we're going to click into here. It's going to be /imagine, and then you have the prompt. This is where you can now put your prompt. So throughout this lesson, I'm going to go through all of the commands. I'll go through them quite quickly, but then I'm going to simply just show you what this command is first, and then I'll go through the rest of them. So /imagine, and then prompt, this is where you can give your prompt to Midjourney. And we're mainly going to start with a very basic prompt as of right now, just to show you how it works. But then throughout this course, we're going to be adding details to it, adding styles to it, everything under that nature to make your prompting abilities fundamental. Okay, so the prompt that we have here is Japanese samurai in the 1950s. I'm happy with this. It's quite basic, but I'm happy with it. Let's hit it. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has now generated an image of a Japanese samurai in the 1950s. Now, we're going to go over all of these different tools, U1, U2, U3, U4, V1 to 4, Remix. We're going to talk about that in a future lesson, so you don't need to worry about that. We're mainly just looking at commands right now. So this is mainly what Midjourney will prompt out, and this is what you're going to be using most of the time. Now, taking a look at the rest of commands, all you need to do is /, and then ask is you can simply ask a question. Midjourney is a bot, so it most likely has been trained on not only the FAQ, but a lot of the main questions that people ask. You can simply ask a question throughout this bot, and then Midjourney will give you an answer. Blend is actually having two images, your own images, putting them and dropping them into Discord, and you're going to be able to blend them together, which is pretty cool. /describe is pretty much as it says, writes a prompt based off of your image. You upload an image, and then it will write a prompt based off that image. Midjourney has fast hours, which just pretty much means that your output will be quicker. You need to pay for fast hours, so it really depends on how much you're willing to spend versus your time. Really depends on all of that. /help, similar to /ask, is help. /imagine is the main thing that we're using day-to-day. /info just pretty much gives you information about your account, how many fast hours you've used, stuff like that. /invite is mainly just inviting people to the server. So all of these /refer, you're going to learn more about it afterwards in future lessons, and you're going to gain more of your own opinion on what specific settings you like, and specifically when it comes to these settings. /private and /public are mainly for if you are on the Midjourney server, if you want your results and your outputs to be private or public, stuff like that. Relax mode is the opposite of fast mode. And the last command that we really need to take a look at, I think is more important, is just /settings. So right here, and we'll enter here. And these are the settings that you can go with. The first thing that you can dial in is the model number. So we're typically going to be using the latest model. However, there's Niji model, which is more of an anime style. We have a lesson on that, but really it depends because some of the functionality and some of the specific things that you want to do on Midjourney are only available on previous models. So sometimes you might need to go to model 5.1, model 5.0, but for most of the time, we're going to be looking at the most updated model. So you can keep this as is. So this first row is how much stylization you want. Unless you have a specific use case, most likely you'll keep it as stylized as a medium. Public mode, public versus private. This is high variation between the models. Remix mode, we're going to talk about after. We have turbo mode, fast mode, relax mode. And if you want to reset all of your settings, just click here. But anyways, these are your settings. So that is going to cover all of the commands when it comes to Midjourney. I would say for 95, 99% of the people who are watching this course, most likely don't actually need to touch any of the settings, probably don't even need to use any other setting other than just /imagine. Unless you're looking for something very, very specific and they can only be toggled through the different commands, then by all means go ahead. But most of the time, you're just going to stick with what was initially picked and just use the /imagine. So with all that being said, this is commands in Midjourney. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the basics of crafting a prompt in Midjourney. Now, this is really going to be a beginner step. As we move on, we're going to learn more about asking yourself questions to the type of prompt and type of image that you like to generate. We're going to take a look at all the different styles, all the different parameters, but for now, we're really just going to get started with a basic prompt. So as mentioned before, the prompt that you're going to be using most throughout this entire course is going to be the -imagine. It is through this text box that you can become an artist. You can build and generate whatever images you like. You simply just need the right prompt. So to just get started, we're going to simply go car, and we're going to get this sent out to Midjourney. So Midjourney is actually generating this in real time. You can see the progress bar right here, and I'm using the fast mode. That's why it might be going a little quicker. But all in all, it is just continuing generating the image in real time. Okay, so now we have the generation of a car, and it is exactly through this canvas that through prompting, you'll be able to create the images that you ultimately would like to create. If you think of yourself as an artist, this is your canvas. The different words that you use, if you use words to describe the photo, words to describe the parameters, you can make big changes, you can make incremental changes, all to these prompts, which will in turn change the outcome of the photo. Now, of course, most of you probably want to be able to add a little bit more detail than simply car. And how you would do that is you simply add a comma afterwards. So right here, we have car. After this comma, you can decide to add anything you want. Anything that you would like to add to this prompt, it can and will be added. Now, it doesn't matter if you use a space. It doesn't matter if you use a dash, a plus. In a way, Midjourney has a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. So for me personally, I like using a comma. It keeps everything nice and tidy. But from here, you can continue to add whatever you like. So for example, if I want this to be realistic cars, I also want a blue background. And one thing I would like to add is that I want it to be 4K as well. This right here is the basic building blocks of Midjourney, where you have whatever prompt you want to make, and you slowly build onto it with extra words, extra sentences, describers, parameters, whatever it may be. This is the building blocks of prompting in Midjourney. So if I were to compare simply car to car realistic blue background 4K, these are going to be the changes, and me as an artist, this is going to be the canvas that I'm building through Midjourney. Okay, so as you can see, car realistic blue background 4K, it shows that exactly it's a car. It has a blue background for all of them. They are realistic. They're not cartoons or hand-drawn, and they should be 4K as well. In a way, this is all prompting is. Finding the words, the ideas, and the designs to be able to craft whatever you have in your mind to then put out so that Midjourney can generate it. So truly the only thing that I could say is that if you can get your prompting abilities as best as possible, then really the sky's the limit when it comes to prompting with Midjourney. Now, this was a very basic building blocks lesson on how to prompt in Midjourney. In this lesson, I'm going to play around with all of the Midjourney settings so that you don't have to. I'm going to test out all of the models, all the variations, pretty much every single button under the settings so that you don't have to waste your own fast hours if you're paying for it. Just watch this video and I'll show you everything that there is to it. So without further ado, let's simply go into settings and okay, so once you have the settings opened up, we're going to take a look at the model first. And we've already spoken about Niji model, or we are going to be speaking about Niji model in a future lesson. So we're not going to cover that. What we are going to do is we are going to go through and we're going to test out a couple of the models, and then we're going to try stylizing low, high, very high, public, private, remix, pretty much everything on here. and we're just going to go through it. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to Midjourney Model 1. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through a couple of them so that you see the differences between all of them and you don't waste your fast hours. So first thing that we're going to do is Midjourney Model 1. We're going to use the same prompt throughout this entire video so that it is consistent, but let's go. Okay, so the prompt here is cowboy fighting a shark on a building, and we're going to use an aspect ratio of 3:2. We're going to keep this consistent, and we will just copy and paste this, and let's go. Okay, so as you can see, this is Midjourney version 1, and you can see some of the details coming through, like the buildings. You can see a little resemblance of the cowboy hat, a little bit of the shark, not really. But at the end of the day, this was version 1 of Midjourney. You can't really blame them. They're really starting to make the progression towards making sure the model was fine-tuned and trained on lots of data. But really, this is version 1. We're going to move on to version 3 next. Okay, so this is Midjourney version 3, and we can see that, sure, a little bit more of the details are coming in. It isn't as, I guess, abstract as version 1. You can actually see the cowboy in this one. You can see the hat, you can see the buildings starting to have a little bit more detail, and even the shark is starting to have some details with like the fin, everything like that. So now we're going to jump into version 4, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to just simply reset my settings, simply what I would do, similar to the settings that most of you have as well. Okay, so if you're taking a look at this right now, this is version 4. The jump from 3 to 4 is amazing. Like, look at the details of the shark, look at the building, all of these details, and you can actually see the emotion that the cowboy is going through. If you were to compare this from version 3 to version 4, it is a world of difference, and this isn't even the most updated model yet. But now we're going to play along with a little bit more of the settings. Okay, so we're going to go back to the latest model, and instead of stylizing it medium, we're going to stylize it low, and then also compare it with a very high as well, but let's go through it. Okay, so we're now on the latest version of Midjourney, and instead of making any changes, the only thing that we made changes was we instead had stylized low and stylized very high. So this one right here is the stylized low, and as you can see, they added the parameter S50, and to the very high, S75. So, okay, so when it comes to stylization and Midjourney specifically, it is pretty much how likely and how well it would describe the prompt itself. So as you can see in this first low stylization, it means that it's going to fit the prompt exactly, extremely well as is. However, when you get to a high stylization, it's going to take on more of an artistic approach, and there's no building here, maybe in the background, but this looks a lot more artistic. It's a lot more, not as literal in the sense, but much more artistic as well. The last thing that we're going to actually do is we're going to reset all of the settings back to pretty much normal, what I typically use and what most of you typically use. And we're going to just use the same prompt, compare it to the first prompt, and just see that progression. So reset settings, and we will go from there. Okay, just like this, we have the regular settings, and this is what the latest model of Midjourney 5 will give us. So I'm personally quite happy with this output, and I hope that this video playing around with all of the settings has saved you time and helped you realize a little bit more whether or not you need to make changes and whether or not you'd like to play with your settings as well. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, as promised, we are actually going to go through remix mode. So I think that remix mode is actually extremely helpful for someone who knows exactly what they want. They have an idea of the type of image that they want to generate. And remix mode is just a way of being able to pretty much customize your prompt as you're going along, instead of asking over and over, hey, Midjourney, I need this. And then once it gives you the output, you then add your prompt again, copy and paste it, and then add a couple of corrections. Midjourney Remix Mode, instead of having to do that over and over again, you can instead have a box that pops up, and then from there you can make the changes. So let's see what happens. So the first thing that you're going to do is go to your settings. And if you want to turn on remix mode, all you have to do is click remix mode, and this should turn green, dismiss, and you're ready to start prompting. Okay, so the prompt that we have here is movie poster about the Romans fighting the Greeks in a futuristic style. Let's see what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so this is the output from movie poster about the Romans fighting the Greeks in a futuristic style. Typically, let's say you want to make a change, and if you wanted to make a change, instead what you have to do is you have to copy and paste. You have to copy this prompt, go back, /imagine, all of that. But we're not going to do that. Let's say we want to start making changes right now. What you're going to do is simply click one of these V1, 2, 3, or 4, and then what will happen is you now have a remix prompt button pop-up that comes up, and you have the exact same prompt. And now you are able to make changes in this prompt, and then once you submit it, you'll get a whole new image generation. So let's actually, first thing we'll do is, let's say we want to change up the aspect ratio. Let's go aspect ratio of 2 to 3 and then submit. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has made the changes, and it was as simple as simply just clicking the box and then having that pop-up open. And it has changed the movie poster into an aspect ratio of 2 to 3 instead, as you can see here. And we're going to continue making changes. This looks pretty good. However, let's say I want to change the main character, the characters inside of these posters. I'd like them to be female instead. So let's see what we can do. What you're going to do, once again, simply click the button. And what we're going to do is let's say female characters, and then movie poster about Romans fighting the Greeks in a futuristic style. Let's see if it makes the changes we need. Okay, so adding female characters, we now get what we wanted. The main character, instead of being a male, is now a female, and these are some of the changes that we want to make. We'll just continue making changes. Let's say I want them, instead of wearing this type of armor, let's say I want them to be wearing cyberpunk, futuristic. I did say futuristic here. I don't see much of it. I'm just saying I'm gonna want to make some more changes. So first thing we're going to do is, let's say in futuristic style, and then wearing cyberpunk clothing. Okay. Okay, so with the changes, it is futuristic style, wearing cyberpunk clothing, and you can see it's not exactly cyberpunk clothing, but I guess it has to match the artistic needs of the prompt. So I guess this works. Maybe this one right here with the headgear, I guess so. If it really has to meet the Greek and Roman, I guess, vibe, then I guess that makes sense. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a more suitable background. Let's say that I don't like this fire. Let's say I want the complete opposite. I'm going to say with an icy background, and this will be the last remix that we're going to make. So once again, open up the box, wearing cyberpunk clothing with an ice age background. Okay, so this is the last edit that we're going to make, and we'll see what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so female characters, movie poster about the Romans fighting the Greeks in a futuristic style, wearing cyberpunk clothing with an ice age background, aspect ratio 2 to 3. So it's nailed a lot of that. And as you can see now in the background, we have kind of an ice age. Before it was like fiery. Now it's ice age-esque. It's blue at least. But if you're to take a look at a poster like this, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that this was Greeks versus Romans. You'd probably think that this was some sci-fi against the tech, robots are dominating the world type of movie poster, but hey, that's okay. The remix mode is an extremely helpful way if you know what you want to do and you don't want to constantly go and copy and paste the prompt. This is an easy way to start off with a prompt and then slowly make changes to it as you see fit, and as Midjourney gives you more and more output and more image generation. So this was remix mode. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about upscaling and remixing. If you see the buttons U1, U2, U3, U4, and then V1, V2, V3, V4, we're going to be talking about those buttons today. Now, I'm just going to give us a random prompt and we'll go from there. So first thing you do is /imagine, and here we have the prompt. So we're not going to do anything fancy, just teddy bear with a name tag, retro style. Okay, so Midjourney has now given us the output for the teddy bear with a name tag, retro style. So let's take a look at some of the buttons below. So when it comes to the U, there's V, and you see this kind of like remix kind of button. So when it comes to these buttons, the U stands for upscale. So when it comes to upscaling, let's say I'm done with everything. I already like the fourth one the best. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, left to right, and then up to down. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is U1, U1, U2, U2, U3, U3, U4, U4. Okay. Same as the V. So what we're going to do is, let's say I really like number 4. This fourth one, I really like it. I want to upscale it a little bit. What this means is that it will blow it up a bit. And instead of having a simple 4 section picture, it's going to simply give me this one. So let's click U4 and let's get it. Okay, so Midjourney has now upscaled the 4th picture, as I said, U4, and now it has given us a lot of different options. Very, very subtle, very region, zoom out 1.5, custom zoom. Now I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, but I can tell you what they do. So very strong and very subtle. If you want to change up the picture itself, this is you change it up a lot. In basics terms, this is you change it up a lot, and very subtle is you just make small changes. Very region is, let's say that for me personally, I don't really like this background, or I don't like what's on its foot. I can click very region and then it will then open up kind of like this. And then it's drag to select an area to be changed. And it's simply just like simple as a crop function. And then I want to change this part of the image, and then I'll say submit, and then Midjourney will go through with it again. Okay, so Midjourney has now made the changes, and as you can tell before, we did vary region, so we want to make changes. So if we click into this, you can now see that the region that I selected, the rest of the picture is the same, but the region I selected, the foot part, is now different. As you can see, this is different, this is different, this is different, this is different. And that's simply if you just want to make changes to a specific region, you can do that. And we'll just continue forward with if you were to upscale something, then if it is to zoom out. So instead of just simply having this as the picture, it'll zoom out so you can see a little bit more of what was in the background. This is by 2, this is by 1.5, and you can also have a custom zoom here as well. And for example, if you wanted to see what was, let's say in this picture, if you want to see what was on the left side of this picture, maybe you were curious or it cut off a little, then you can click this button. It will start to expand the photo a little bit, same as this button. So this is the left, right, up, and down. And if you wanted to see what was missing in this photo or it just got cut off, you can do any of these buttons. And the last row of the upscale is if you like this job, then you can simply click like, and then it will save to your profile. And if you want to see it online on the website to download, you can simply click web, and it should take you to the website, Midjourney website, showing you the photo. Okay, so we've covered upscale. We kind of jumped from the beginning all the way to the end. This is at the end of it. If you really enjoy the photo and the job that Midjourney has created, this is what you're going to be using, upscale. So we're then going to move back into our original job, and we're going to look at the rest of the settings. Okay, so that was upscaling. We're then going to go through with this button right here. Let's say this prompt right here, teddy bear with a name tag, retro style. Let's say you don't like any of the given images. Let's say you don't like them at all and you want Midjourney to redo it. Then you'd click this button right here. Okay, so Midjourney has now given us 4 more variations of the initial prompt, and you can continue going through with it. As you can see, now we have U1, U2, U3, the same settings once again, and if we don't like it, we remix it one more time. But I'm just going to say I'm happy with this. And number 2, the second one, I quite like. I would like a couple more variations of that. So this is what these buttons are for, V1, V2, V3, V4, V1, V2, V3, V4. Let's say I want more of V2, variation 2, or number 2. I want to make a couple more variations of this one. I'm going to simply click V2 and we'll wait for what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so now that we've clicked V2, it has given us variations of the second photo. And now you can see these are very similar to this initial photo. As you can see, like the same background, it looks ultimately the same. And most of the things of this picture are similar. Okay, so taking a look at upscaling versus remixing, we've covered most of the initial prompts and settings and things that you can do once you write your initial prompt. So right now it's really up to you. Do you want to continue to vary it? Do you want to zoom out, make it larger? Do you want to make changes? Do you not like this prompt at all and want to make different variations? Or do you want to scrap this prompt completely and start with a completely new prompt? Because right now it's up to you. But let's say that you've reiterated prompt after prompt and now you've upscaled it and now you have the image that you personally like. Let's say for me personally, it's this photo. I really like this one. Right now, you're finally done with it. You can then right click it, and you can finally save image. Once you click save image, it should download to your computer. But things like resolution, for example, we are going to talk about in a different lesson. So with all of that being said, in this lesson, we covered upscaling and remixing. There are quite literally infinite possibilities that you can use with Midjourney and remixing and variations. So don't forget to have some fun with it. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the different styles that you can use in Midjourney. Now, believe me when I say that there are dozens to hundreds to thousands of styles, aesthetics, and artists that we can start to emulate. Of course, I won't be able to go through all of them. However, I have provided the most comprehensive list that I could find for the styles, aesthetics, and artists possible down below. Now, throughout this lesson, I'm really only going to go through approximately 10 styles to show you how to integrate them into the prompts, and ultimately just a good introduction between all of them. I'm going to use the same prompt throughout, and that prompt is going to be lion wearing a tuxedo. Now, there's nothing special about it. I'm just going to then start off this prompt without anything else. Okay, so this right here is lion wearing a tuxedo, and as always, if you don't add anything else, it typically will give you just more of a realistic look. And this right here is a realistic look. It kind of looks like a portrait, which was actually one of the ones we're going to cover later in the video, but I'm going to still keep that in the list and we'll continue from there. The first style we're going to try is monochrome. So as you can see, it's quite similar to the one beforehand. However, it is monochrome, which means it is black and white. This helps us serve the purpose. On to the next style. Now you could technically categorize this as a specific type of lens. However, you can also categorize that under photography. So we're going to move through with it. Right here, we actually start to get some of the color back, and this is a fisheye lens. These two are fisheye, these two not so much. However, it's a circle, and everything encapsulated in the circle is the image itself. Let's move on to the next style. The next style that we're going to try out is painting. Okay, so it's no longer the realistic look as a lion. You can see the paint strokes, you can see the background. This, as a result, is a painting. The next style we're going to try is low poly. Low poly is known as kind of having like these sharp edges with specific color tones, and as you can see, it's supposed to have sort of like a 3D look, like a geometric shape. The next style we're going to look at is schematic drawing. Okay, this one is black and white. It feels like a pencil drawing, which is good. However, one thing that it might be missing is like, the arrows that have text written down. I think that if I wanted to get that, I can iterate it. I can simply write schematic drawing with pencil marks or schematic drawing with pencil writing. That should help. The next style we're going to try out is sketch. Okay, so this one right here is quite similar to the schematic drawing. However, for example, this one, you can actually see the shading, the pencil shading, and even in this one, some eraser marks. Overall, quite accurate. The next style we're going to try is actually in the 1900s. See if it can replicate a little bit of that time period. Okay, I think that this fits it quite well. You can see the grainy background. Typically, when they were taking photo shots in the 1900s approximately, they would typically have these grainy backgrounds. You can see it here, you can see it not so much here, but you can also see the curtains that they were used in as well. The next style we're going to check out is sci-fi drawing. Okay, so this was known to be a drawing, so it doesn't look hyper realistic, which is good. That's what we're looking for. And even for this one, it's in space. There, right here is the Earth as well, the moon, the galaxy. Overall, a pretty good job. As I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson that there was portrait, we're going to do the same, and I'm actually going to compare this one to the first prompt. Okay, so this one specifically defined as a portrait versus this one just saying lion wearing a tuxedo. Overall, both quite similar. I guess the very nature of saying in a tuxedo would probably mean that it is more of a close-up shot, more of a professional shot, things of that nature. And the last style we're going to try is in the style of Vincent van Gogh. I'll be honest, I only know Starry Night, so I can't tell if this really encapsulates the style of Vincent van Gogh. But I guess if we were to search up online Vincent van Gogh paintings, I'm sure we can find some semblance. So that's going to cover it. In this lesson, we looked at 10 different styles, and we kind of barely scratched the surface of the different styles, aesthetics, and types of artists that you can use to emulate. But I hope that it's helped you to open up your eyes to all of the possibilities and all of the different styles that you can actually use in Midjourney. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to go over essential parameters. Parameters are essentially options added to an image to change the output of the image. So throughout this course, we're going to go through a couple of them, but this course, we're going to do the remaining of them. For example, we talk about aspect ratio, chaos. Those are going to be separate videos. In this video, we're going to talk about the ones that you might not use as much, but you should still know. So the first parameter that we're going to be looking at is no. What this means is essentially that let's say you have a background and you have trees in the background. Let's say that you do not want any trees. You can use this no parameter to get rid of the trees. For example, if I were to go imagine forest, if I were to simply go forest, very, very basic prompt. Okay, so this is the output we get for the forest prompt. And if we wanted to do the no parameter, then we simply add it to the end. So what you're going to do is do dash dash and then no, and then you're simply going to say what you do not want to include in, for example, this photo. For me, let's say trees would be a little difficult. Let's say no stones. Okay, so as you can see, the parameter no stones, and we then click into it. We don't see many stones. There is a pathway. Previously, there was a pathway. There was also a river with stones. Same as here, there was a pathway, but with stones. However, this one, there's a river, no stones, or minimal. You can see them, but not as much. For example, same as here, no stones, no stones. And this is to remove things that you do not want in your prompt. The next parameter we're going to be looking at is quality. So if you want something that is higher quality, you can give more weight to it. But if you don't want something as high quality, you can actually drop it down. One thing to mention is that this does affect your fast hours and the amount of GPU time you use. So if you're paying for Midjourney, please keep that in mind. So the prompt we're going to use, it'll be the following. So if you want to affect quality, you just simply do dash dash quality, or even dash dash and then Q. It automatically, even if you don't put quality, it automatically gives you the value of 1, and actually 1 is the highest. So we're just going to go with Q, and then we're actually going to try the lowest, which is 0 or 0.25. Okay, so this is going to be a quality of 0.25. Okay, so as you can see, we ran the quality of 0.25 and I ran quality of 1, and typically a job from Midjourney will be a quality of 1, so it doesn't even show up, and we can take a look at the quality. So this is 0.25, yes, quite detailed. It's actually quite extremely detailed. It doesn't take as much GPU time, but in regards to the 1, this is much more detailed. You can see the detail itself. It's shining off. It just feels a lot more high quality from this image. I think that the only time you'll need this parameter is if you are running low on GPU time, then you can use lower quality, but for most times you probably will just continue with a 1 value. So the next parameter we're going to look at is the repeat parameter. This is if you want to rerun a job a couple of times, and it goes from 1 all the way to 40 times. So you'll set up your prompt right here, and if you want to repeat it, it's dash dash R or dash dash R repeat, and then this is a value from 1 to 40. So essentially how many times you want to run the job. This can be helpful if you know that you want to get many outputs and you don't want to continuously remix it. This saves a lot of time from you copy and pasting all of the same prompts over and over again. So I'm going to repeat it twice to see what happens. And as you can see, Midjourney actually says, are you sure you want to imagine 2 prompts? So we're going to say yes. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has actually given us 2 different results. Of course, it's 2 different jobs, and they are different right here. A little bit similar, but that's okay. It's run the job twice. You didn't need to remix it at all. You didn't need to put in the prompt twice. It simply just asked us if we wanted to do it twice. And then we said, yes, we would like to do the job twice. And then it spit out the output. So the next parameter that we're going to be talking about is the stop parameter. And this right here will help you when it comes to stopping the prompt halfway if you don't really want Midjourney to go through the entire prompt itself. The best way to actually go through it is to actually show you. So let's go through it. So if you want to go through this parameter, you simply go -- stop. And to go through with it, you give an integer, so a number from 10 to 100. And for me, I'm going to say 50. This should stop the generation halfway. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has stopped the generation halfway. It's blurry, it's not complete, there are no fine details towards it. It just means that Midjourney has stopped halfway, or 50, and you can actually play with this from all the way from 10 to all the way to 100. The next parameter we're going to be taking a look at is actually the tile parameter. This parameter -- tile actually helps you create a pattern that pretty much is never ending and looks like tiles. So to apply this parameter, all you need to do is do -- tile, once again, whatever your prompt was, and then you do -- tile, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so taking a look at the tile parameter, you can see that these look like tiles. They can be replicated over and over, same as this one, same as this one. Not so much this one, but it gave it a shot. And the last parameter that we're going to be looking at is going to be the weird parameter. Me personally, I've taken a look at it. I quite like it. I don't use it all that often, but I do quite enjoy looking at some of the results. So what you're going to do to apply the weird parameter is simply just do a -- weird or a -- w. Then you can give a number from 0 all the way to 3000. The default weird parameter is automatically 0, so it pretty much applies 0 weirdness, and this is pretty much making your prompt and your image generation quirky, offbeat patterns, whatever it may be. So we're not going to experiment with 0 because we already know what a cat and a dog should be, so we're going to first start off with a simple 100. Okay, so you can already see from the generation that it does look a little bit offbeat. If you were to have a weird factor or weird parameter of 0, you'd probably see like a more hyper-realistic view of not only a cat and a dog, like together. So you can already begin to see like it's starting to look a little bit odd, a little bit not quite right. So we're going to do this again 2 more times, one with a weird of 1000 and one with 3000. Okay, so this is weird with 1000. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe this one, maybe this one's definitely odd for sure. It's like colors are off, like it's cartoony, like hand drawn, to be honest. This isn't even a cat, both dogs. This is with only 1000. And if we were to take a look at 3000, this is what we get. We get a cat, a chihuahua, a small dog, another dog in the water. We get, that doesn't really look like, it looks like a dog with a demon mask. This is a chihuahua, a really small chihuahua for some like plate on a table. This one looks all right, but overall extremely weird, extremely offbeat. And that's going to cover all of the parameters. You might be wondering, is that all? No, there are actually more parameters. However, I have separate videos and separate lessons specifically for those parameters. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about advanced parameters, but with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about advanced parameters. Now, one thing you might realize is that if you've done your research or if you've heard from someone else is that a couple of the advanced parameters that I'm supposed to talk about, I've already covered and am going to cover in future videos. So with all that being said, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to go through with the one specific advanced parameter. And this one advanced parameter is using multi-prompt. So multi-prompting is helping you to emphasize a specific word that you would like to prompt. In a couple of the examples, we have a word such as spaceship. Typically, it's one word, but if you want to break it into 2, we can now use multi-prompting and split it up into 2 words. In the same way, we can do something like paintball. For example, if you don't really want the sport of paintball, but rather a ball that is made up of paint, you'd break it down into paint and then ball. So the way that we'll do this is actually by using 2 colons. So we'll go through, imagine, and then what we're going to do with the prompt is instead of simply saying paintball, like the sport, we're going to actually break it up this way. So you're going to have a space, colon, colon, no space in between the 2 colons, and then a space, and then paintball. And then we're going to go check this out. Okay, so getting the paint and then ball showcases that these balls are made up of paint. It's not about the sport. For example, this is paint, this is paint, this is paint. I'm not exactly sure why it is a female as the main lead of the image, but that's okay. So right here we see these balls that are made of paint, and it's not the sport. So ultimately, this is called multi-prompting, and if you wanted to give specific weights to either one of them. Let's say, for example, for here, I see that it's focused on the ball, but I wanted to have a much heavier emphasis on the ball itself. So what you can do is actually give weighting, numerical weighting to either one of the prompts. So for example, if you want to put 3 times as much emphasis on paint rather than ball, you're simply going to put a number right here, right beside the double colons. And then it's not actually right here, but actually after the colons. It's weird. At least that's what I thought first, but that's okay. And you're simply going to put that in. And from here, if I were to input this in, there should be a much heavier emphasis on the paint rather than the ball. Okay, so as you can see, if we look into this, there is a much heavier emphasis on the paint, less balls, and it's very colorful. Maybe this one has some emphasis, but it's still quite large, very colorful. The background looks like paint as well. Paint, 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 pretty much heavier emphasis on paint. So what we're going to do now instead is take a look at what if we were to put an emphasis on the ball instead. Okay, so putting 3 times as much emphasis, there's a lot less paint. It's not as messy. Instead, this time, as you can see in the background, there's a very heavy emphasis on the ball. This right here, a massive ball. Ball. This one, don't really understand, but on here, a big, large ball. There's paint streaks. At least what I can tell feels like paint streaks or lights that are dripping like paint. At least ball. And as you can see in this, a much heavier emphasis on ball. So with that being said, this is going to cover multi-prompt, and adding something similar before we finish the lesson is called permutation prompting. This will go extremely quickly. It's not very difficult to do by any means, but it could just save you a lot of time. Permutation prompting is if you want to generate a couple of jobs, but with different variations throughout. So let me explain. So for example, the permutation prompting will be, I have curly braces right here, and then I have 3 options, which is a blue, red, and black tree. And what this is going to do is it's going to then set up 3 jobs. One where it'll say a blue tree, the other one with the variations of a red tree, and the last with variations of a black tree. You're then going to get something like this, and I'm just going to say yes. So as you can see, our permutation prompt of a blue, red, and black tree has now gone into a blue tree, a black tree, and a red tree. And this was all made from the first prompt. Another way that you can use permutation prompting is actually through a different parameter. For example, aspect ratios, you can do it for chaos, you can do it for weirdness. Any different parameter that you can apply to a typical prompt, you can use it here as well. For example, if I want to use the weird parameter, I would simply do W, curly braces, and then you'd give in some of the numbers. 10, 100, 1,000. Okay, so you're going to have curly braces at the end, and make sure to separate them by commas, and we'll go through with this. Okay, so as you can see, we have the --w and then all of the different permutations. This is with a weighting of 10, 1,000, and 100. And this was all created from the same prompt. And the last example of permutation prompting is actually being able to nest these prompts together. Okay, so this right here is actually going to give us 4 different jobs, which is a blue cat playing with a blue dog, and then a blue cat playing with a white dog, and then a white cat playing with a blue dog, white cat playing with a white dog. If you really need this many permutations or to really switch it up in this many formats, then permutation prompting is for you. So with all that being said, in this lesson, we covered multi-prompting and permutation prompting. The rest of the advanced parameters with Midjourney, you'll learn throughout the course as well. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to cover image prompts and also blending images together. So these are 2 commands that are native to Midjourney, and we're first going to start off by uploading an image, and this is how we will get not only the blend, but also the image, the prompt from the image. So the first thing we're going to do is find the command and then upload the image. So the first command that we have, like always, it's /, and then you can see all of the commands. We simply just need to go to /describe, and right here you can drag or drop your image right here, click into it. And let's say for me, I want to get a prompt based off of this. This is just pretty much a skyline, a nighttime skyline with a skyscraper. I'm going to click open, and this is essentially what it looks like. And if you want to get a prompt that looks similar to like this, simply click enter. There you go. And we wait. Okay, so now we have 4 prompts that Midjourney has given us that should most likely give us something similar to the image given here below. So, for example, the Empire State Building at night illuminated by the brightly lit city in the style of an ominous vibe. Gray and amber, Olympus XA2, this should be the camera. Dazzling cityscapes, American Bison school, high angle, spectacular backdrops, and then the aspect ratio. Okay, so then Midjourney gives you 4 options, and let's say you don't like any of these prompts, you don't want to use any of them, they don't seem like they're good, simply remix them. Or if you want to actually go through with one of these and imagine them, you can simply click 1, 2, 3, or 4. This corresponds to, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to imagine all of them, you can. However, most likely you'll take up some of your fast hours. So for me, I'm just going to go with, I'd like to imagine number 3. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, so Midjourney has given us the following, this right here, and although it doesn't look all too similar, it's a pretty good start, and it's the first step that you need to take. If you really want to start to replicate a photo using Midjourney, it is that first step, and you can use different variations. Either you can then take a look at the other prompts that Midjourney has given you, but I would say that this ultimately is a start. So the next command that we're going to be using is /blend, and this is going to be merging 2 images of your own together, and we're going to go from there. So just like always, you're going to go into the text box and then /blend, and then you could see the command right here, blend image 1, image 2, and here it gives you 2 places for you to drag and drop your images. I'm simply going to go with this image as number 1 and a random image as number 2, and we'll see what Midjourney gives us. So this is going to be image 1 right here, and image 2 will just be something I found on Unsplash. So we have both of them added here together, and click enter. Okay, so as you can see, it quite literally took the person who was scuba diving and the building, and it just meshed them together. I think that when it comes to blending, this might not be what you're looking for, but if you have 2 images that has a very prominent foreground with a background that you'd like to emulate, you can blend them together, and hopefully you'll start to get something that resembles what you're looking for. Throughout this lesson, we were able to take a look at 2 commands, the /describe and the /blend command. I hope that this gives you more insight towards your Midjourney prompting. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to cover 2 things. The first off is using an image as a prompt, and also we're going to be talking about chaos at the same time. So using image prompting is simply by being able to take the copy of an image, the copy link of an image, and then bring it into the prompting section of Midjourney, and from there you'll be able to make all of the changes that you want. So whether you have images that were taken in real life, or you have an image of a photo, but you don't have the prompt and you want to be able to make changes to it, any of those use cases can help. So right now what we're going to do is like normal. Okay, so now that you have the full /imagine prompt, what you're not going to do is fill this out. What you are going to do instead is actually copy the link of an image that is in Discord itself. Okay, so for example, I have an image like this. I simply uploaded it to Discord. All I'm going to do is right click and then go copy link, and then we go back to our original prompt. Okay, so what you're going to do now is /imagine you have the prompt, and you're going to paste that link in, and you're just going to go continue through with your day as normal. Just put a comma and then write whatever you'd like to make changes to. So for example, if I wanted to add some color, if I want to use a specific perspective, any of the changes that I want to make, we can make them here. Okay, so what I've written is greens and yellows, Polaroid, aspect ratio 3:2. So what I want to say here is I want to enunciate some of the greens and yellows, and if there aren't any greens and yellows, to actually start bringing them out. I also want it to look like a Polaroid, and then aspect ratio 3:2. I know that the 3:2 doesn't really bide well with Polaroid, but it's okay. So from there, if you want to make a change or make an image from your original image, whatever you have uploaded to Discord, you can then make those changes. Okay, so taking into consideration that the prompt was greens and yellows, Polaroid, and then aspect ratio 3:2, it was pretty similar in the first place. But we take a look, this is blue with a scuba diver. And then if we take a look at this right here, it's really started to bring out greens and yellows specifically. It looks like a Polaroid, it looks grungy. That might not be the right word, but it doesn't look as clear as the previous photo. It's retained the diver, he's wearing all black, and it's really just started to bring out things that might look like green and yellow and also helps out with the Polaroid. So that's image prompting. If you want to use an image and then make edits off of that, you can simply do so. And I think that by being able to have it all in one chat would actually make it quicker, because the runtime for this job actually took quite a while. So I think that if you want to have a photo, just keep it in the same chat. If you want to have a photo here, just upload the photo right here, copy the link, and then just paste it right all in the same chat. Should be much quicker. Okay, so we covered image prompting. Now we're going to be taking a look at chaos. When it comes to chaos, it is essentially how unpredictable the output of Midjourney will be. Chaos, for example, goes from 0 to 100. On a regular, if you don't touch chaos at all, the chaos itself will be a 0, which means it is reliable, replicatable, something that you can count on, trust to get something similar every single time. And instead, if you say, I would like chaos of 100, then it can be very wild, very unpredictable. But I think that by just being able to show you the prompt, you'll be able to get a little bit more of an understanding. Now, this is very similar to aspect ratio, where you add the dash dash, and then instead of AR, you say chaos or C, and then a numerical value afterwards. On the Midjourney website, they did a hybrid as well, and I want to do something similar just so that you get the best showcase of what chaos would look like. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to give it approximately 10 chaos. You could do dash dash chaos, you could do dash dash C, really up to you. We're going to do pizza and car hybrid dash dash chaos 10. Okay, this looks a little bit more like, this one looks a little more like spaghetti because all of the cheese, but meshing them together makes sense. This one, not so much. You see a car in the back and pizza in the front. This one looks like a pizza and car hybrid, exactly what we're looking for. You see that having a low chaos means that if I were to continue with chaos 10, I would get very similar results to these. However, we're now going to go to the other side of the spectrum and go to chaos 100. These are more unpredictable, wild results. So let's see it. So as you can see, I use dash dash C and then 100, and let's see some of the results. Okay, so taking a look at the output, the 100 chaos shows that they are quite unpredictable. Compared to 10, they're pretty much not even comparable. For example, this one doesn't even have, okay, I guess it's like the pizza is the base. This one doesn't even have a car. This one doesn't have a car. It's just pizza. This is a wheel with pizza. They don't make any sense, because if I were to do chaos 100 once again, I would most likely get completely different things. However, if I were to do chaos 10, I'd probably get something similar. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so once again, as I said, I did a chaos of 10 and a chaos of 100, and this one looks very similar. It is a replicatable system where I said a car and a pizza hybrid. This looks very similar to this right here. However, if we were to go back to chaos of 100, these are not close at all. You see this, now there's mainly pizzas. This one is mainly cars. You see car, pizza, car. No idea what this is. That's a pretty good breakdown of what chaos is. So in this lesson, we broke down single image prompting and using chaos. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to be covering Niji Mode. As I mentioned in a previous lecture, Niji Mode is a way to make it so that your output from Midjourney is more of an anime style. And I'm sure that the Midjourney team had added this because there had been so many individuals, so many teams who specifically wanted to create animated outputs. So in this lecture, we're going to be talking about Niji Mode. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is go to your settings to set up Niji Mode. So here we go, /settings, and there we go. And this is what pops up. Now, what we're going to be looking for is to actually change the model. So instead of the default model or whatever model you're in, you can see, scroll through, there's actually Niji Mode V4, Niji Mode V5. I'm going to go with V5 since it should have the most updated model. So we'll go with that and wait for it. And there we go. We are now on Niji Mode 5. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give you a couple examples of using Niji Mode versus just using the regular Midjourney model. So the first thing we're doing is /imagine. Okay, so the prompt that we currently have is anime, cute dog playing in pasture, AR32. So I don't actually need to write the anime. It should give it automatically, but I want to copy and paste the exact same prompt for in Niji Mode versus not in Niji Mode. So let's see it. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has now given us a anime cute dog playing in a pasture. Looks very cute, looks very good. And as you can see, it looks very animated. You could probably see this in an anime. And one thing that you should notice about this is that it has pretty much added this dash Niji 5, and that is pretty much the model. With Midjourney 5 itself, it automatically includes this. So now we're just adding this to the end of it. And one thing I'm going to do before switching back to Midjourney 5 is actually remove the anime to see what kind of differences there might be if we don't specify that. Okay, so this is the prompt. Let's see what we get. So even without giving the prompt of saying anime within, we get to see some pretty close results. As you can see, this fourth one right here looks very similar to this third one. It's jumping, very happy, pretty much the same background, jumping as well, anime style. And now we're actually going to take a look. We're not going to use Niji Mode. We're actually going to go back to Midjourney 5 to see the differences. So we'll go back to settings. And we'll go back to the latest model 5.2, and it should make the updates. And let's go to Imagine. I'm going to take the exact same prompt right here, and we'll see what the Midjourney model gives us. Okay, so the Midjourney 5 model has given us the anime cute dog playing in a pasture. However, if you're to actually look at this, it doesn't really look all that animated or in the Japanese anime form. It looks more of something you'll see in like a children's book, and that's okay. We now have the option to use Niji Mode, and as you can compare, it's just taking a look, it's just a world of difference in terms of the face expressions, the detail in the background, and things of that nature. Okay, so just for comparison, we're actually going to take this same prompt, no anime style, and just to show you what normally Midjourney 5, the model, would actually give you. So let's see. Okay, so Midjourney 5 has now given us a much more hyper-realistic look at what a dog would typically look like. There's no anime style to it. There's nothing cartoony about it. This looks like an actual photograph that you would take of a dog. So just taking a look at all of these, you can see how Niji Mode might be useful for you, whether you're an artist looking for concept work or you just enjoy the art form. I think ultimately Niji Mode can be helpful for many. For me personally, I just like making artwork using Niji Mode. It's my personal favorite model so far from Midjourney, just ultimately due to the fact how accurate and detailed all of the outputs are. So with all that being said, this was Niji Mode, and I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about option sets and seeds. If you're wondering why I paired these two together, it's because they can be used for convenience. We're going to first start off with seeds, and then we'll move on to option sets, but both of them are meant to help you make your life easier, to help make your life more convenient when using Midjourney. So to demonstrate what seeds are, I'm going to give the same prompt to Midjourney 3 times to really showcase what Midjourney is capable of. So the first prompt. Okay, so this is really random. I wanted to say a superhero character that is a phone flying. Now, this can be interpreted many couple ways, 2 ways, but I'm really going to see what Midjourney will give us. Okay, so the way that it went through is that it's a superhero holding a phone while flying. So we're simply just going to go through with the same prompt just one more time. Okay, so as you can see, the same prompt, however, quite different results. And this is what seeds can help you to do. Every single time you request a job from Midjourney, it will automatically assign a random seed to the output. And by being able to know the seed number of a given output, you'll be able to create something similar every single time. What I mean by that is, for example, if we get the seed number of this output, if we then include this same prompt, however, we add the --seed to it, the command --seed to it, and the number, we should get this similar output. I realize that's a little confusing, so let's first get the seed number. How we need to do that is, what we're going to do is, let's say we want to create this output every single time we say a superhero character that is a phone flying. Let's say what we need to do is add a reaction, and then what you're going to do is find this mail sign. You're going to click this mailbox, mail sign, and what's going to happen is it should be a reaction, and then Midjourney will then go and send you a message, a direct message. So then here you go, a superhero character that is a phone flying. You get this whole thing. And here you have the seed. What you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste this, or copy it. You have the job ID. You don't need that right now. You just need the seed. Copy the seed. And then what you're going to do is put this into the exact same prompt. So a superhero character that is a phone flying. And then at the end of it, you'll simply write -- seed and then the number. This can be helpful if, for example, you upscale one of these, and let's say you want to focus specifically on this one, and then you grab the seed for this specific image, and then it can help you in the future if you want a very specific character or very specific output. Now, if we were to take this seed, input it, -- seed, input this right here, and enter. Okay, so we have gotten the output from Midjourney, and as you can see, these two are quite similar compared to this one, or yeah, this and this one is similar to this one and this one. And one thing you'll need to realize is that even if you have the exact same seed, it won't be exactly the same output. Sometimes it could, sometimes it won't. In this case, it wasn't. And that's okay, because by having the seed for future reference, let's say you like a character right here, or you like a given output, you can save the specific prompt plus the seed, and for future reference, you can continue to build off of these images through more and more prompting. Me personally, I don't really use seeds, and that's mainly just personal preference. I like making stuff new all the time, but that's just me and my personal preference. And the one last thing that I should cover is that if I were to, for example, do the same thing, get the envelope, put it for here, this should be a different seed compared to this number right here, or this seed right here. So as we look through, yep, this seed right here and this seed right here are different. Okay, now let's move on to option sets. You remember at the beginning of the video, I said that this will help you for convenience. Well, if there are any parts of the prompt that you want to keep consistent moving forward or bundled under a certain name, option sets is here to help you. Let's say every single weekend you use a very specific prompt under a very specific style. Let's say you use hyper-realistic 8K aspect ratio of 3:2, and you're making 10 to 20 prompts all under that same guideline. Well, it would be quite tedious to continuously prompt after prompt write the same thing, hyper-realistic 8K, 3:2 aspect ratio, when instead you can simply create an option set and add that to every single prompt. So let's create it. Okay, so this is how you create an option set. So it's prefer, option set. This is what you're actually going to name the option set itself. So you want to keep it short, or at least something that you can memorize. For me, let's say film, and then you're going to tab, and then you're going to open up value. And this is where you can add at the end of every prompt the same setting. Okay, so let's say that moving forward for the next 10 prompts, I want to be able to add this, but I don't want to type it out every single time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the option called film, and then this is the value. So I said that it's realistic, detailed, 4K, and then an aspect ratio of 3:2, and then click enter. And then the custom option film is set to this. And now all you need to do is you give a prompt and you add the option film at the end of it, and it should add all of these as well. Okay, so we're going to go through with the prompt, and then I'll show you what the option set looks like. Okay, so we put on the prompt pineapple on a table, very simple. And to open up the option set, you're simply going to go -- and then for me, I called it film, so I'll write film and then click enter. Okay, so as you can see, Midjourney has now added these realistic detailed 4K aspect ratio 3:2 automatically, simply by typing film or the option set at the end of it, and this will do it for every single prompt that you add the option set to. If you want to see all of the option sets that you currently have, you can use this command, which is /prefer option list, and enter. And I currently only have one option set, which is film. And what I'm going to do is, if you want to remove an option set, all you have to do is the following. So to remove an option set, all you need to do is /prefer option set, and then click the option set that you'd like to remove, click it, and then instead of typing in any values, you simply click enter, and it should remove this option set. So if you're to go back, there are no option sets available. So in this lesson, we covered convenience in terms of seeds and option sets. Hopefully this will be used to help you save lots and lots of time. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about setting your aspect ratio for Midjourney. Now, this is one of the parameters that you can give Midjourney. There are essential and also advanced parameters that you could probably scroll down and you'll see videos about, but I thought that this was quite important. So in this lesson, we're going to be talking about aspect ratios. So the aspect ratio is simply a ratio between the length and the width of an image, and specifically in this context, the image that Midjourney will produce. So an aspect ratio of 1:1 will mean that the length and the width of the photo that is produced is the exact same. So essentially a square. And this can also be quantified through measurement. For example, if you want to use pixels, having a 1:1 aspect ratio means that it is 1000 by 1000 pixels. 1000 pixels wide, 1000 pixels long. Now I'm going to put something up on the screen to show you a couple of different other aspect ratios that are quite common as well. This can be helpful if you're creating something for a very unique purpose. For example, if you want to use an aspect ratio that helps you serve for a phone, or even if you want to make a desktop background, you can set it as a specific aspect ratio for that. So in this lesson, I'm going to simply play with two aspect ratios just to show you the differences between them. And as normal, we'll just go /imagine. And we'll go through with the prompt. Okay, so we now have the prompt that we want to give Midjourney. And if we want to then be able to get a specific aspect ratio, what we'll do is at the end of it, we'll put -- and then AR, and then the aspect ratio that you'd like to put. Okay, so this is the full prompt. We have the prompt itself of what we want Midjourney to generate. And then we have the aspect ratio, which is a -- AR, and then the aspect ratio that you'd like Midjourney to create. So with that being said, let's see it. Okay, so this is perfect. Midjourney has now given us a 3:2 aspect ratio of a colorful galaxy with many planets. And as you can see, if we take a look into this, this would mean that this is, for simple numbers, that this is 3000 pixels long and 2000 pixels wide for each of these photos. And this is a good example. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take the exact same prompt, but we're going to have an aspect ratio of 2:3. So we see the differences. Okay, so putting in the same prompt, but switching up the numbers, an aspect ratio of 2:3 instead, and this is what we get. So as we can see, Midjourney has now given us an aspect ratio of 2:3 for this generation. This is going to conclude aspect ratios. It really depends on what type of content you are creating, what type of content you're generating, and for what format you want to optimize it for. Again, this is one of the parameters that you can give Midjourney. I thought it was a little more important, so it's separate from the essential parameters. But with all that being said, this was aspect ratios. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about working with composition in Midjourney. Now, you don't need to have some extravagant education to know about composition or specifically focused on art or photography, nothing of the nature. Composition, in a sense, is really just ensuring that the elements in this case, in Midjourney, are where you want them to be. And throughout this lesson, and also linked down below, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you can integrate these specific prompts into your prompting methods to not only be able to build something that has quote unquote good composition, but realize that it only takes an extra couple of words to help you create that composition in the first place. So we're going to have the same prompt, the same object throughout all of these prompts, and I'm just going to change up at the end of the prompt, what is the composition like, and we'll see what changes that Midjourney will make. Okay, so the prompt that we're going to have is simple, the skyline of New York City. I'm not going to have any aspect ratio. We're just going to jump straight into it with just a bland prompt. Okay, so even by accident, without even putting in the prompt, we see that taking a look at the second, third, fourth even, second but third mainly, is that there is a line, imaginary line, that is cut throughout, and you can see the reflection off of the water. We're mainly going to work with this prompt right here, and we're going to start adding some composition techniques to showcase what we really mean. Okay, so the first composition technique that we're looking at is rule of thirds. If you were to break up a photo into mainly three, this aspect ratio is 1:1, so it's actually easy. So you can see that it is here and here. It's like if you can imagine imaginary lines. I'll just focus on this one, imaginary line here, 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 and here, it breaks it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 imaginary squares. And what we're looking for is, as you can see, it's pretty much broken down into the 9 squares, but specifically this is like one section, this is the second section, this is the third section. It's 1, 2, 3, rule of thirds. Same thing right here. It's broken down, like you can see here, is mainly one section. It's the clouds, and then this broken down into another third is the actual skyline, and then one last third is actually the cloud itself. It's very similar to all of them. Okay, so we're going to take a look at another composition. Okay, so taking a look at the next composition, we see that I focused on having a centered composition, and opposed to having the rule of thirds where it's kind of all evenly split out, centered composition focuses a lot more on the middle. So it's very similar to this one. However, as you can see on the edges, it kind of like trails off. It's very much focused on having your eyes directed to the center. You can even see, for example, in this one, you can see a lot of the sunlight coming out from the center itself. And having this composition mainly tries to draw your eyes towards the center itself, thus the name centered composition. Okay, so for the last composition, we use leading lines, and typically in photography, you use certain objects to help your eyes pretty much lead you to the main object. And as you can see through most of these, it's different from this one where it is from far away and it looks very image-like. This is more focused on like actual photography if you were outside. And the leading lines here are, for example, for the first one, it kind of leads you down towards this object right here. It leads you down with your eyes to look at the skyline. Same as right here. I don't quite know what these are. It might be the streets. It might be water puddles. Not sure exactly, but they're kind of leading you down towards the look here. Same as here where you have the roads leading you all down to here. And this one is not so much, but you do have the skyline itself as well. I think that at the end of the day, understanding composition can help you if you're ever stuck with a prompt and you want to spice it up a little bit and you want to be able to take the audience's focus, if you're focused on that, take the audience's focus and bring it to somewhere specific. Now, we've also talked about camera panning and perspective, so you can also pair that together to be able to get the angles and the perspectives that you really like. So with all that being said, this is composition. There are more examples down below. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about using lighting in Midjourney. Now, down below, I have a list of different lighting options that you can try out, whether it would be outdoors, indoors, studio lighting, whatever it may be. I'm going to give you a list down below so that you can try a couple of them. However, throughout this video, I'm simply going to go through 4 different scenarios and 4 different lighting options, just so that you get a chance to understand how not only you can use it to prompt, but also seeing how specific lighting techniques can go and affect your prompts and outputs. The first lighting technique that we're going to be using is, for example, if we're outside, we're going to be using natural sunlight. So let's do that. So the prompt here is, I'd like to see a book on a bench, and specifically talking about lighting, we're going to be using natural lighting with an aspect ratio of 3:2. Okay, so taking a look at what Midjourney has given us, it has given us a book on a bench, natural sunlight, and we take a look a little further, it is very warm and cozy. It's coming from the top, which is what we're looking for. And okay, so you can see the book on the bench, and the sunlight, the lighting comes from the top. Once again, very warm, very cozy. Okay, so this was outdoor lighting, and we have a couple options of that down below. However, we're going to now move into, for example, indoor lighting, and specifically looking, let's say we have an object on a table. We're going to take something similar, but instead we're going to be looking at table lighting. Okay, so looking at the prompt, we see that it is, again, book on a table indoors, and we're going to say that it's a table lamp lighting, and we'll see what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so Midjourney has now given us table lamp lighting, and as you can see, this is very soft, very cozy, similar to the one up here. However, this one is, as you can see, probably a darker room, and then most of the light is coming from the lamp itself, and as you can see, it tapers off a little bit, tapers off, there's a shadow here, and it's really showcasing that wherever you want lighting to be, you should be able to create it through Midjourney specifically. Now, I realize that these aren't exactly lighting techniques. However, by being able to focus on a subject and specifically saying, I would like this type of lighting, can help you with the composition that you're you're trying to build using Midjourney. Now we're actually going to focus more on a technique that is a lot more well known in the photography space, and if you ever need to build products or product photography, you're going to be learning some of these techniques. Okay, so we're going to be doing something similar. Book on a table, however, we're going to be using rim lighting. Exact same aspect ratio, everything the same. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, so we get the rim lighting, and typically when it comes to rim lighting, it would outline the edges of the object that you have. And for us specifically, if we wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic, we could ask Midjourney to prop the book up to face us and then have it on the outside or the edges specifically. But this helps us create kind of like a moody look, something that looks a little bit more dramatic. As you can see, the rest of the room is dark, and then mainly maybe not so much this picture or this picture, because you can also see a little bit of lighting from the candle. However, maybe from the top, it looks like it is really showcasing the edges of this object or the book itself. But yeah, that showcases quite well. And at least for this video, we're going to be talking about one last lighting technique. It's going to be very similar to the second one where it's indoors. However, instead of having something that is in the frame, specifically like table lamp lighting, we're going to talk about using like a window lighting. So it's something more far back, and we'll see if Midjourney will include that or not. Okay, so this is the prompt we'll give, and we'll see if Midjourney can get it. Okay, so this is perfect. The window itself isn't exactly the main focus of the output, and specifically on the fourth one, it's a little off to the side, and you can really see the details when it comes to the window lighting. You can see the sunshine coming through. There's even a flower pot to showcase the shadows as well. It even blocks off some of the book to really showcase that this is window lighting, yes. I think that at the end of the day, if, for example, you're working with products or specifically photography, you can use the list of lighting techniques that we have below this video to help you build up the image that you're ultimately trying to create. Lighting may not be for everyone. I personally don't use it all that much, but of course I make relatively simple images in the first place, but at least it's good to know when going through your prompting journey. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about camera and perspective in Midjourney. Now, if you were to imagine Midjourney as a camera that takes a snapshot in time, you can actually control where Midjourney takes that snapshot from. For example, would you like it from the front? Would you like it at eye level? Would you like it as a bird's eye view? Would you like it from a back view? All of these perspectives are things that you can control as long as you mention it to Midjourney. So linked below are some camera perspectives that you can actually use, and I'm just going to go through a couple of them throughout this lesson. So the prompt that we're going to use is a polar bear sitting on a chair outside, so this could really help us get the perspective correct. So this first prompt, the perspective that we said, is from the back, and as you click through it, you can see that yes, this is a polar bear sitting outside, and you can see the back perspective exactly, and we're then going to continue to test through different perspectives. The next perspective that we're going to take is from a bird's eye view. Okay, so from a bird's eye view, we can see that the camera angle supposedly is up and essentially quite far away. So it's like you're a bird looking down at this bear, and they are also sitting in the chair. So this fits perfectly. Next, we're going to go through with an eye level perspective. The bear is indeed eye level, however, there is a little bit of glitching on right here and also a little bit right here. It's kind of like the chair itself got cut off, but nothing a little variation and extra prompting can't fix. Next, we're going to take a look at a low level perspective. Okay, so if you were to imagine a camera, it's no longer eye level with the bear. It's actually lower than where the bear is actually looking, so it is considered a low level perspective because the camera itself is below the gaze. And the last perspective we're going to check out is a close-up. So this is a close-up shot, and as you can see, the connotation with it is that it is kind of like a professional headshot kind of thing. The bear is sitting nice, even has a tie right here as well. Very, very well put together. So in this lesson, we were able to take on the role of the camera to really showcase what it's like to be Midjourney essentially, and to look at the different perspectives that we can take up and not only use to help enhance the images that we're creating through Midjourney. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about working with colors in Midjourney. Now, you might be wondering, oh, I already know how to use colors, but in this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to use very specific colors, using colors for given items, and ultimately how using colors themselves can impact the image generation that you have. So just jumping straight into it, the first thing that we're going to do is use a prompt. Okay, so we're going to keep this prompt very simple, and then afterwards we're going to add a touch of color to a couple of the things that we can see through the image, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so using the prompt zoo with many animals, we get this extremely detailed, high definition look at there are a lot of animals and it is extremely detailed. Yes, this is true. Now we're going to take a look at making sure that we can actually use colors to not only enhance this image, but make it better, make it pop, make it vibrant, if that's ultimately what you're looking for. I'm going to give you the options and ultimately you can use them how you see fit. And in this lesson specifically, we're not going to make it try to look as good as possible. I'm just going to show you what's possible. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prompt Midjourney instead of simply saying zoo with many animals. One thing that I realize is, at least in the first, in number 1, 2, and 4, is that there are trees in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I would like some blue trees. I know that's odd, but I'm just going to show you that it's possible. Exact same prompt, I simply just wrote blue trees in the background. Okay, so this has given us a little bit of what we're looking for. For example, in this one, although it has taken out the ultra realistic view, you now have blue trees in the background, blue trees in the background, things of that nature. This one, not so much, but it's kept the hyper realistic view. But of course, I was saying that we're not looking for exactly to make the best picture possible, just to show you that you can add things like this towards your prompt. But of course, now we're going to do something to make it a little bit look better. One thing that you can actually do is that through the time of day as well, you can actually introduce a time of day to make the color palette pop and make it suit what you're looking for. For example, if you wanted something to look more like this is early morning. If you wanted all of them to look like this, you can take this exact same prompt and say in the early morning, and it should look brighter. Okay, so as you can see, adding early morning, we can now see a little bit more brighter colors, more vibrant. You can see the sun, you can see the clouds, open sky, it's bright. This is good. If you're looking for something vibrant, something like that, use early morning. If you're looking for something darker, use something like nighttime, midnight, anything of the nature. One thing that you can also do is specifically tell Midjourney, hey, this is zoo with many animals, or prompt, and then simply say, I would like to use these very given colors. So let's go through with that. Okay, so using the prompt zoo with many animals, we now have 2 colors. You can really write as many colors as you want, but I really want to showcase the dark green and black within. Now, me personally, I don't exactly know how we're going to showcase black, but I do like to see some dark green throughout this next prompt, so let's see it. Okay, so writing dark green and black, it really has started to showcase the dark green and black. It's a very, very heavy focus with a black background and pretty much the rest of it dark green, a little bit of light green, and it's very much heavily focused on this color palette. Once again, if you know color theory or if you have an online color picker that is good, you can use that, but really you want to be able to incorporate some sort of color scheme if possible, or if you want to enunciate specific color tones, you can do that as well. And the last prompt that I would like to use is to not simply focus on just such basic colors. Dark green and black, these are basic. We want to go deeper. We want to be able to use very specific detailed colors, because by doing that, we'll be able to get better results. It doesn't matter if you use an online color picker, just try to find, instead of finding red, find the exact tone that you're looking for. Okay, so as you can see, we're using the colors Sangria Red, Sandstone, and Coconut. If I'm not mistaken, this is a type of red. This is slight, and these two are slightly, this one should be orangish and this one should be brown. Of course, they are much more detailed than that. They have hex codes. Me saying orangish doesn't cut it, but you know, as long as they're detailed and as long as you take the time to find exactly which color you're looking for, you can go and do that. Okay, so we said that we're going to use the colors Sangria Red, Sandstone, and Coconut. You can see within here we have points of that. We have Sangria Red right here. I would say we have Coconut here-ish, here-ish. And when it comes to the sandstone's more of like an orangish, it would be kind of the floor. And this is quite detailed. This is very, very cool. Instead of simply saying I would like brown, I'd like red, I'd like orange, you get these colors that really pop. Because for example, when it comes to this right here really pops. These, I don't know what to call these, but the tops of the sides pop a lot as well. Right here, for example, as well, the sky really pops. It's vibrant. Instead of simply saying red, you're looking at Sangria Red. These are perfect. So with all of that being said, these are a couple of ways that you can use color to incorporate into your image generation, to not simply be boring with it, but also to introduce a little bit of flair within the image generation that you have. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we are going to focus on how to build website designs using Midjourney. Now, one thing to say is that I'm sure that you've seen some of the output that Midjourney has given you. One thing that you should not expect is having perfect text, perfect placement, but really this is just a way for you to get a general idea and even hopefully take some inspiration when either building your own website or trying to find something that can help you take that first step. So we're mainly going to follow a 3-step process, and that first part of the process is telling Midjourney exactly what you want on this page, what type of page it's for in terms of purpose and whatnot. So let's get started with that. Okay, so now that we have the functionality of the website, we want an e-commerce website selling popular sneakers, a 9x9 photo grid, large hero images with shoes, easy checkout buttons. These are the functionalities that we want on the website. Let's see what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so this is what we get. I think this is overall pretty good. At least we get a lot of the, I guess, stylization. For example, this one right here, I think I like the best. This one fits it a lot more. However, there's no 9x9 grid, which is completely okay. You can see this is where there's the hero image, and then here you can find a couple of shoes. And then here are sports styles as well. This one, not so much. As you can see, a little blank. This one doesn't have a hero image as well. That's okay. So right here, I'm quite happy with these two images. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remix it once again. And I'm even going to, I would say for this one, I'm going to get some variations. So I'm going to simply go through it with it twice. So I'm going to remix it and I'm going to send a variation of number 3, which is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is what we get remixing it. I think that this one fits well. However, there's no checkout buttons. This one's starting to look good. You can see the top has all of the buttons. There's a nice hero image. This is where you can purchase. So overall, starting to get quite happy with this. This one is a variation of V3. So overall, I think this one would most likely fit the criteria the most. This one right here, you can see the hero image. You can see the shoe, the price, the purchase, the checkout page. And it's, although not 9x9, you do get a look at a 4x however many rows there are. So overall, I'm very, very happy with this choice right here. And it even starts to have this color theme, orange in the back, white in the back as well. But what I actually forgot to do was to actually put us in remix mode so I can continue to make iterations. I don't want to really continue to put out prompts. I'd rather make iterations this way. Okay, so we now have the functionality of the website. It has pretty much everything that I would care for. Now we're going to start to design the website. This is where you can start to talk about the aesthetic of the website and everything in regards to how you want the design to be. Okay, so for the design, I've said that I want some light blues, hints of muted colors, rounded edges, minimalistic, and ultimately simple. Let's see what Midjourney gives us. Okay, so this is what we get. And this option right here, I'm actually quite happy with. It has followed the instructions quite well. A little bit of rounded edges, minimalistic, simple, has muted colors, but I'm just going to re-roll it just to see what else we can get. Okay, so it's really starting to embody the style that I ultimately like. It would be number 1 and number 2. It has, as you can see, the top buttons, rounded edges, muted colors, white mainly, and then the checkout button, same as this one. This one is more of a minimalistic and simple look. So with all that being said, we move on to the third step, which is adding the final modifier words and also the parameters. Okay, so just ending it off, I've added 3 main things, which is realistic, happy, stylish, and an aspect ratio of 3:2. And this should be my final result. Okay, so it ended up that this design right here, I'm actually extremely happy with. It shows that minimalistic vibe. Although there's no hero image, I think that this is actually better. For example, it shows that the shadows for the shoes, it has floating shoes as well, has the price, extremely simple, extremely minimalistic. So I'm very happy with this one. I can use this as inspiration. And now that I have all of this complete, my prompt is complete, I'm happy with this design. I'm going to upscale it and then we'll go from there. Okay, so this is the final result. I'm very happy with this design. In this lesson, we covered how we can use Midjourney to build website designs. Although they might not contain all the information we're looking for, they are a pretty good start when it comes to finding inspiration and building an initial design. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about creating photography in Midjourney. Now, there are going to be 5 main things that you can add to a prompt to help you create that photography look. Because right now, if we were just starting and we said to Midjourney we would like a landscape shot, then we would get something all right, probably decent, but we can add 5 specific items to it to make sure that it becomes the photography shot that we want. So let's get started. Okay, so as mentioned before, I said that we're going to use the prompt landscape photography shot and we'll see what we get and we'll slowly iterate from there. Okay, so this gets us landscape photography shot. Of course, beautiful shots already, but we can start to manipulate the output to whatever photography we would like to make. So the first thing that we can actually add is what type of lighting we want to this given photography shot. Now, we've talked about lighting in a previous lecture, but for this specific prompt, we're going to say that we want natural sunlight. So let's see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, we now have natural sunlight and it has the sun as one of the focuses throughout the photography shot. And one thing that I mentioned is that if you wanted to be a little bit more specific, for example, if you wanted to focus more on mountains and have a river with a tree in the back, because I feel like this is what Midjourney intended initially, you can actually do that. However, I didn't specify that I want it throughout the shot, and I didn't say that I want mountains with trees and rivers. Midjourney decided to take it up as just a landscape photography, as a river in kind of like a riverbank in the forest, and then slowly start to introduce the sunlight. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue through with this. We're not actually going to specify what the subject is going to be. That's okay, because we really want to just see the effects of adding different terms in regards to photography. The next item that you can add is whatever type of angle that you would like to use, as if you were the photographer yourself, what type of angle you want Midjourney to help you produce. So I'm going to say from an elevated angle. I don't want it to be kind of a low cut. I would rather be like from a rooftop or from a tree, something higher up. Okay, so as opposed to this specific shot where it is kind of like in the forest, we now get from an elevated angle, you now see that this is way, way higher up. We can see the trees, we can see the river that was going down, we can see the pastures, still with the sunlight, which is exactly what we're looking for. So you can also add the type of angle that you're looking for as well. The next item that we can add for photography is the type of shot that we would like to get. So for me, I want to actually get a wide shot, and you can do this two ways. One way for me, I'm going to do is just simply say wide shot, and I'm also going to add an aspect ratio that is typically used in photography. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to have a wide shot and an aspect ratio of 3:2. Okay, so this is really shaping out the way that we like. It is wide shot with an aspect ratio of 3:2. We can now see a lot more as opposed to it being typically a square from earlier, but rather it is the aspect ratio we want. It shows a lot more of what we're looking for. And in general, this is shaping up to be the landscape photography that we're looking for. Something else that you can actually do is talk about the specific camera and lens that you would like to use. For example, if there is a camera that you like to shoot with, or you just know in general and you'd like to emulate it, you can actually tell Midjourney that. Okay, so for the camera, I'm going to say that I want a Canon, and then for the type of lens, I'm going to say I want a 10mm because it is more of a wide shot. Let's see what we get. So this is the result after adding the camera and the lens. We can now move on to the last portion of the prompts. And this right here is going to be any final emotions, details, or parameters that you would like to add to the prompt. And for me, I'm going to add something about emotion and the type of photograph that I ultimately want to build. Okay, so for me, I've said that I want it to be a breathtaking shot, and I've just added 2 more total, which is breathtaking shot, and I use the no parameter because for me personally, let's say I don't want any clouds, I just want it to be the sun shining out. So I've added these 2 parts of the prompt, breathtaking shot and no clouds. But this will essentially finish up the prompting method for photography. Okay, so this is the final result, and although it diverted a little bit away from the kind of like forest shot, initially forest and rivers, that's okay because I wasn't specific anyways, and I said in the beginning, I'm just going to let Midjourney take its course with whatever it best believes that it could say with a landscape shot. So it is through these 5 items that you can be able to kind of wiggle your way towards a photography shot. And of course, the more detailed you are with it and the more that you give Midjourney to work with, typically the better your output will be. So with all that being said, this is photography. I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to create interior designs using Midjourney. Now, there are mainly 3 things that you can add to your prompt to help you create the interior design that you're looking for. Plus, at the end of the video, we'll also be talking about a couple of key terms that you can actually add to start to increase the quality of your interior designs. So with pretty much all prompts, you're going to want to start off with the foundations. So I'm going to look towards kind of a black and white, I guess, Japanese inspired interior room. And I'm just going to start off with that and we'll slowly build from there. One thing you can also do is say specifically what type of room you want to build. So for me, I'm going to say a kitchen. And for most of these designs, what you're going to want to do is most likely you'd want a wider aspect ratio. So look at something like 16:9, something like that, or 3:2, things of that nature. So let's see what we get. Okay, so taking a look at this, I think this is a little bit too traditional, and that's okay. Of course, it's my room. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to ask Midjourney to tone it down a little, make it a little bit more modern, and we're going to slowly start to inch our way towards the ideal prompt of what we're looking for. What I'm going to write, of course, minimalist. I mentioned interior design twice within this prompt is because the more you prompt Midjourney about a given keyword, most likely it will start to place a little more emphasis towards it. So I'm really continuing to say interior design both here and here. So as I mentioned earlier, the first thing that you can actually apply to your interior designs is the type of style that you want. Do you want it in a specific nationality? Do you want it as a specific style? What type of design are you looking for? For me, I said Japanese inspired design, so that's mainly what we're going with. It's also at this point that I'm going to start to play with the composition a little bit. So I mainly want a center table. I don't like this mainly. I don't like this where it's kind of like a center table, but standing. I like this one where there's chairs as well. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so this is getting a lot better. I particularly like this third one, and this one looks more like a living room, to be honest. But what I'm going to start to do is to actually play a little bit with the lighting. I'm going to say, okay, so what I've decided to add is natural light coming in from the windows, and I would like to say also a no parameter, so no paintings. Personally, I don't exactly like these paintings all that much. I like things like this where it's natural. And one last thing that I should also add is I do particularly like this bonsai tree, so I'm going to write bonsai tree. Okay, so I've written bonsai tree planted in the ground, and this should be a pretty good iteration moving forward. Okay, so this is what we've gotten. We've gotten the bonsai coming out of the tree, and for some reason, it's now gotten us into more of an apartment complex, which honestly isn't ideal. So I'm going to tweak a little bit of the prompt itself. I don't like how it's on the skyrise. I like if it was on the ground. I think this comes from the prompt right here, which is natural light coming in from the windows. I'm going to actually remove that. And at least moving forward from now in this prompt, I'm going to add a little bit of color because this black and white, sure, it looks okay, but I'm going to start to ask Midjourney to have a little different accents. For example, some more vibrant colors to actually make it pop instead of simply having everything look so monochrome, look so gray and dull. Actually, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say bonsai tree in the background. And then I'm going to say sky blue accents. So this will play towards the color. I'm going to say bonsai tree in the background. I don't want something all the way coming through. Just for fun, I'll write mansion, because I want it to focus not on an apartment, but specifically saying mansion, so it's much more of a larger area. Okay, so this is what we get. We get a little bit of the sky blue accents. I see through here, a little bit outside and here as well. And it has started to take in the mansion prompt. However, one thing that I do not like is the bonsai tree. Although I mentioned that in the background, I guess so, but it takes up a lot more of the space. So I'm going to do one more prompt and I'm simply just going to get rid of this side of the prompt completely. Okay, so I've added a couple of things. The first one is I said expansive. I want it to look a lot larger because right now the subject itself is mainly a table and some chairs. I want it to look a lot larger, not simply covered by the chairs. So expansive interior design, black and white Japanese inspired modern interior design, kitchen, center table with chairs, sky blue accents, mansion, and in addition to minimalist, I want it to also look modern, sleek, and I've added a realistic as well. And same aspect ratio, no paintings. Okay, so this is the final result. And although I personally like this one right here, I think that if I were to go back and specifically run through this prompt again, what I would have done instead was I realized that a little part of this happened that I guess over-engineered the prompt a little bit too much, which isn't ideal, but of course it's your canvas. You can do with it however you like. So for me, what I would have done is I would have actually gone and stuck right here. Minimalist interior design, black and white Japanese inspired modern interior design, kitchen, center table with chairs, and then aspect ratio 16 to 9. So I would have actually just run a variation of this one right here, V3, and continued from there. But of course, you have the final say with everything. So whatever prompt you'd like to build, whatever changes, whatever iterations, in the end, it's all up to you. So with all that being said, to end off, a couple other things that you could actually include are also different colors and different color trends that you'd like to add. And there are actually famous architects and also interior designers that you can actually take inspiration from and say in this style of, and then interior design, whoever it may be. And by that, you'll be able to replicate a little bit of their design philosophy as well. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about making portraits using Midjourney. Now, we talked a little bit about portraits earlier in the course. However, now we're simply going to go through 2 prompts to really showcase what the difference is when you specifically say portraits in the prompt. Okay, so the first prompt that we're going to be using is person sitting in front of a table. Now, I tried to make it as conducive to saying that this is close to a portrait. It is straight face on, and it is a person with an object below them as well, so it should be conducive to something similar to a portrait. However, what I'm going to do right afterwards, after we see this prompt itself, is we're actually going to ask Midjourney to give us portrait and then comma, person sitting in front of table as the prompt. Okay, so taking a look at this, we didn't get exactly what we wanted, as this is a POV from the back. Same for these two. This one's from the side. This one is also to the side. But I want to see what type of changes that we get if we were to specifically mention portrait before the initial prompt. So this is the prompt. Let's see what we get. As you can see right here, by simply saying portrait, it changes kind of the whole environment. It gives them more of a serious demeanor. It shows them that they are in front. They are the main subject. There is the table right below them. And it's same for 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of these showcase a portrait. And just simply by adding the one word of portrait before the initial prompt, you get a much more serious expression. In the same way, if we were to say happy person sitting in front of the table, we should be able to manipulate the emotions of the main character as well. Okay, so this is perfect. We now see 4 different portraits, and they are all in different backgrounds, which of course we didn't specify, so that's okay. And all of them are wearing happy smiles throughout the portrait that they have. And one thing that you might want to know is that you can also manipulate the background, even what the person is wearing, the subject, pretty much anything when it comes to having a portrait, you can manipulate. Okay, so the last prompt that we're going to try out is by simply saying office background and also saying person wearing a white dress shirt. Everything we needed with an office background and the subject wearing a white shirt. Really, the options are endless when it comes to building out portraits. So in this lesson, we covered portraits and ultimately seeing that Midjourney is such a versatile tool when using the given prompts through portraits. So with all that being said, I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about product photography. Now, when it comes to product photography, one of the best parameters that I personally have found is being able to use the repeat parameter. Instead of simply running the prompt once, you run it 2, 3, 5, however, up to 40 times. And because a lot of the times you won't get what you're looking for on the first try, you can actually speed it up by simply repeating it 3 to 5 times, and then you'll get a total of around 20 total variations. And from there, you can pick and choose the one that you would like to continue with, make edits to ultimately start to improve. Now, pretty much down below, I'm going to showcase a website in which you can take a look at a lot of example prompts when it comes to product photography. In this lesson specifically, we're going to be taking a look at 3 prompts from this website and ultimately making a couple of changes to them to showcase what it's like working with products. This website has been extremely helpful for me when creating product photography. Okay, so this is the prompt that we're going to work with. Professional high quality product photography of juice cans, direct lighting setup with shadows. So this is the lighting. These are the colors, yellow, orange, green, pastel colors, and then some juice cans flowing. So this really plays to the product photography where you don't want everything static. You want some things floating as well, or at least in this case. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to repeat this job 3 times so that we get different results. Okay, so as you can see, there's a reason why we do the repeat. For example, a lot of these are kind of bland. They don't look very good. This one's just like doesn't look that good. This one's all right in the sense that they have different colors. This one is starting to look a little cleaner. This one I feel is a little too cluttered. And as you can see from this one job, we only really got maybe 2 that were half decent compared to the next one. This one, for example, has the shadows. This one is quite clean. This one, there's some odd spacing between them. These 2 are quite good. The shadowing and the lighting between this one isn't all that good. So, of course, from this one, we get 2 good ones. This one, we get 2 good ones. And this one right here, I think is honestly the best. This one you can disregard, but this one pretty much encapsulates the prompt exactly of what we're looking for. It says professional high quality product photography of juice cans, direct lighting setup with shadows, they're shadows, yellow, orange, green pastel colors, and some juice cans flowing. This shows exactly what we're looking for. This is, I would say, quite nice. As you can see, it has all of the colors. It even shows a couple of the lemons. Some of them are flowing, like floating, and there's kind of like juice spraying out of them. And if we had not gone through 3 different jobs, then we would not have found this one. I'm sure that if we would have remixed, we might have found them, but by being able to use the repeat parameter, we're able to just save a lot of time and be able to find the variations of what we're looking for. So now we're going to test out another prompt that we found on the website. So the prompt that we're going to be using next is Nike Air Max Isometric 3D Soft Shadows Spring Color Palette 8K Highly Detailed Advertisement and Style Raw. Once again, we're going to send 3 jobs simultaneously. Okay, and taking a look at this overall, when it comes to this one, I like the first one the best. It showcases what we're looking for. However, it doesn't really have, for example, right here has the max. This one has the max. There's no max on this, so we're going to keep looking. This one has the max plus the logo, and it actually even has some stuff in the background, which is nice, which is a nice touch. This one is actually a better version of this first one, where we actually take a look at the max. It has the nice shadow, it's floating, everything is nice. And right here, we even get like some splash of blobs. We get some isometric shapes right here. I think this one doesn't really fit the criteria of what we're looking for. So I would say the absolute best one that we're looking at is this one right here. And the last prompt that we're going to try out on the website will be the following. Okay, so the last prompt we're going to try out from the website is Open Skin Cream Balm with Moss and Rocks on Grass, Sky Blue and Pink, Surrealism, Flowing, Natural Lighting, Stylize 750, Style, Raw, and Repeat 3 times. Okay, so these are the results. Not exactly what we're looking for. Maybe this one looks pretty good. However, we need more of a close-up shot. And if we want to do that, we could probably say close-up shot of top of the cream balm. Next off, something like this. This one looks a lot better. However, we would most likely we could use the vary region to, for example, change up this right here, change up the color. This last one isn't much better, so if we're to do anything, what we would do is we would actually take this one, we could upscale it, and then use the vary by region to change this color itself. So I hope that going through all of the prompts and just getting a little bit of a feel of what specific wording you should use helped you to creating product photography for yourself. You can check out the website down below to get better inspiration. It's what I personally use. But with all that being said, this was product photography, and I'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about creating icons using Midjourney. Now, there are many different types of icons. There are app icons, vector icons, 3D icons. But for you, if you have an idea of what type of icon that you would like to begin with, then simply keep this in track. So while we talk about the prompts that we're going to go through, simply just whatever prompt I use, you can substitute it for your own prompt as well. So the first step that we're mainly going to take is we're just going to say what type of icon we want and the purpose that it serves. And that will be our fundamental building block. Okay, so the main prompt that we have right now is app icon that helps people at home figure out what recipes to make. By telling Midjourney not only what type of icon we want, but also the purpose of it, it can help us create a little bit more. If we don't know what exactly we're trying to do, it can give us some inspiration moving forward. Okay, so these are actually pretty good. This one I actually like the most because it's more of a square. This one and these two are quite good. They're squares. These ones are more rectangles. I like things to be a little bit more unified together. So what I'm going to do is I would like to actually tell Midjourney that I want them to be squares, or at least as close to a square as possible. Okay, so not as much. As you can see, these two aren't ideal. However, these two are squares. That's good. And I think that if you really want to get this down, then what you can do instead of just saying square is once again put square app icon, and then again put a comment, and then put square once again. But we're going to really move on from that, as we want to make a little bit more of a design in terms of the app icon itself, and not so much focus on the shape and format, but rather the design itself. So as you can see, we've added square once again, and now we're going to start adding some terms and some specific words to help us create that app icon that actually looks professional and one that we can actually use for ourselves. For example, you can write 3D icon, or you could write vector icon, or you can even write app icon. But for me, let's say we'd want a 3D icon. Some things that we might also want to write are, for example, simple, minimalistic, vibrant colors. And that's good enough for now. We can make a couple more changes afterwards, but for now, this is good. Okay, so it followed these instructions quite well. This one maybe not so much, however, these two look good. And by saying square twice, so square and square, it made sure that they are all squares, which is good. 3D icon, this one is a little more 3D. This one pops out a little bit. They're simple, minimalistic, and vibrant colors. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get rid of the 3D. I don't like how it actually pops out. I actually genuinely prefer these ones a little bit more. So we're just going to make those changes. Typically, the type of designer that will be making these will be the UI UX designer, and a couple other things that you can actually include are the programs that you use to create these icons in the first place. So let's go add that. So as you can see, we've added UI, UX, Adobe XD, Figma, and Photoshop. And one thing I'm going to try, but I don't know if it'll work out, I'm going to actually put 4K to see what type of quality we get. And of course, it's going to be high quality, but I want to see if it actually makes all of a difference when it comes to the output. And of course, this is where the iteration comes from. If I don't like it, then I can change it. But for now, this is what I like. Okay, so this is the output that we get, and I'm actually starting to really like this. I think that this one I particularly like, and you might be wondering, oh, this just looks like a lot of nonsense. To me, it looks like just a bunch of ingredients, and I think that this one as well, with the dark and vibrant colors, this one doesn't really match, and this one looks a little bit too simple. So I think that this works out. The only thing that I'm going to make a change to is I don't necessarily think this 4K has all too much substance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the 4K. I'm going to get rid of the simple and the minimalistic, and I'm going to go for more of a complicated, complex look, something like this. I don't actually mind having all of these icons and things inside of the icon itself. I think it's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of them and then revise the prompt. Okay, so I've added complicated and full. I've gotten rid of simple and minimalistic. And of course, I have no idea what this is going to give me, but that's what the entire point of iteration is. I have no idea what it's going to give me, so let's try it out anyways. Okay, so as you can see, these two are complicated, they're full, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And we're really starting to diverge a little away from the type of icons that we're trying to build. So although I got the key result of what I'm looking for with these two, I'm going to try my best to actually start trying to stay away from whatever prompted me to get here. So that is what I'll be doing forward. So the last thing that I'm going to actually add right here is I'm going to go right here and actually write Whole Foods, as I want to have an emphasis on actual ingredients. So things like this, and try to get rid of whatever this right here is about. And as you can see, by having the emphasis on the whole foods, we no longer have whatever this was earlier. We now have actual whole foods, and I'm actually quite happy with these two right here. So I'm going to get a couple more variations of them, and then we'll see what they are. But overall, that is how we build icons in Midjourney. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, V3 and V4. Okay, so I've ended up getting variations of V3 and V4, and this one is V3. I'm liking the simple colors. I like that they're vibrant. I like that they're very basic. This one is mainly just kind of like vector images. They look nice. And when we come to V4, this one is very full, very complicated, and that is what I mentioned. Complicated might not have been the right word, but they're vibrant as well. They cover whole foods, and personally, I'm a pretty big fan of this one right here, number 2, so I think I'm going to go with this one. So from just a basic idea of kind of just thinking about what type of app icon I wanted to start with, and then also the functionality, we've slowly iterated prompt by prompt, and slowly we've gotten to something that personally I quite like. I think that this app icon is vibrant, it stands out, and I'm extremely happy with this result.